Hello and welcome to Steph Time. My name is Stephanie and today I wanted to show you how I made these pants that you just saw a lot of beauty shots for. These are just some pleather pants that I self-drafted using the letter-low system, which uses the golden ratio or the Fibonacci sequence to figure out your body's proportions based off of one measurement. This fabric was also kindly gifted, and this video is amazingly sponsored by Zelouf fabrics. I was very hesitant about pleather because I actually just made this for my husband's surprise 30th birthday party that was Matrix themed, and this fabric was kind of a nightmare to work with. Definitely I learned some tips and tricks, but it was super easy and they're really comfortable. So I definitely recommend. Please keep on watching and make sure to like and subscribe and do all those things if you like. And let's jump right in. And today I'm going to be working with kind of like this olivey green pleather material, and I'm going to make some pants. I didn't have a pattern that I wanted to use, so I'm going to draft my own and I'm going to show you the process. So let's just get into it. Alright, here's a little sketch that I made for the pants I wanted to create. I used the letter-low system and found a sketch that most closely resembled what I wanted to make. I ended up doing this because I had a high waist and wide leg, and this is what our pattern pieces look like. Letter-low only uses two measurements, your bust and your hip measurement, to draft patterns for you using radial projection. They do this by using the golden ratio to figure out proportions based off of one measurement. So with that being said, you will probably have to make a little bit of alterations, but it usually fits pretty well right out of the gate. They obviously are using pretty standardized measurement charts, so I did have to take it in at the waist, but if you know your measurements, it's pretty easy to make those adjustments once you've made your toile. This system is really easy and fun. I definitely recommend it if you have some experience working with patterns, or at least, some experience sewing, because it does feel like magic to draft your own patterns like this, and it's a really good starting point if you have an exact design idea in mind. I learned about this system from With Wendy here on YouTube, who made a couple videos about using it, and I was really excited to try it, and I've had really great success with it. So if you guys are interested in starting to draft your own patterns or wanting to embark on that process, I definitely recommend it. And definitely please let me know if you guys want me to do a video going more in depth about this system. Okay, I've got my pattern pieces cut out. I didn't add seam allowance onto them, so I'm just gonna add it as I cut it out. Just to explain what I have here, I've got my front leg piece, my back leg piece, my pocket piece, and a waistband. Just because this is like drafted based on my measurements, but also I'm like squatting. They're based off of my measurements, but I don't know how it's gonna fit. So I'm just gonna do a really quick toile and some like medium weight fabric and see how it fits, make any adjustments I need to my pattern pieces, and then we can go in and cut out our actual fabric. I intend on adding a front zipper like here, which will require that I have like a zipper fly, but I think I'm just gonna kind of wing it as this actual pattern doesn't call for it. I think it calls for an invisible zip on the side. I don't want to do that. So we're just gonna go with it. First and foremost, we need to see if it fits. Alright, so I have to cut out my toile fabric. I'm using some thrifted IKEA curtains that I had just enough left over to make some shorts. And I'm sewing the inseam together. I'm not going to go too much in detail about this process, just because I'm going to show you when I make the real pants. Alright, we have an update. I've made my toile from the pattern I drafted, and I drafted it for the size of my hips, not the size of my waist, on purpose because I can always take it in at the waist, whereas it's much harder to let it out at the hips. So here's what we're looking like. It's like a little board shorty. That's okay because it fits me really nice in the hip and butt area. I think it's looking quite nice, and there will be inseam pockets here, and as you can see, I've added a zip on the front, and all I need to do is just take in a little bit here, and then there will also be a waistband that'll hit me right at my waist. So I'm gonna go ahead and pin where I need to take it in by flipping the garment inside out, pinning it, taking it off, sewing it up. Let's do that, check the fit, and then once we feel comfortable with that, then we can cut it out from our real fabric. Yeah, can you see? Okay, so my goal with these pants is to make them tight through the top and then they get pretty wide at the bottom. Normally for a pair of pants or trousers, I would go with something with a pleat or with a dart, but these are actually gonna have more of a jeans shape at the top. So I've pinned in about an inch on each side of the waist, and I'm gonna sew that up, add the waistband, and we'll see where we're at. Quick note, no, it's a little dark in here. I added pockets to this, and I don't know what's going on, but they're doing this, and I hate it, so I'm not gonna do pockets on the actual version. I'm just gonna do some back pockets. It's me again. I have an update. Hold on, there you go. I have an update on the shorts, aka the toile for my pants. They are looking good. I added the waistband, and other than the pockets being a little weird, they fit pretty well, as you can see. I can't get over how much like this is board shorts. So what I think I'm gonna do is just take this apart to pattern off of rather than trying to make these into wearable shorts. My recommendation is always to do a test garment with some less expensive fabric, and then you can do adjustments like this, or if it totally fails, it's no biggie. Alright, here I am ripping out all of these stitches for the waistband and undoing all of my hard work. No, but in all seriousness, this is definitely helpful. I would just recommend that you use basting stitches or some sort of long stitch that's easy to unpick. And definitely don't use a serger like I did. I don't know why I did that, but it just made my life harder. But once I had all of my pieces separated, I transferred the adjustments that I made on my toile onto my paper pattern. And I'm doing that for each of the pieces. So the front, the back leg, and the waistband. And since I did not end up using the pocket piece, I'm using that piece of paper to draft a back pocket pattern piece. And then of course, as anyone does, I took an ice cream break because I love that ice cream and I needed it. Alright, like I previously mentioned, this video is kindly sponsored by Zelouf Fabrics. They have a huge warehouse of dead stock fabrics that they sell online, and they've been selling to designers for many, many years, and they have lots of different types of fabrics for your enjoyment. I have a promo code right here that you guys can use for a discount, and I think one of the best ways that we can be sustainable in our buying practices is to buy stuff that already is made. And so Zelouf has a bunch of fabrics that have been on the market for quite a while, for the last 50 years, that you can get your hands on. So definitely check them out. Thank you so much, Zelouf, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back to the pants. And now, using my amended pattern pieces, I'm cutting out my pleather. And yes, as you can see, I still do not have pattern weights, and I'm using whatever is closest to me to weigh my fabric down. And then we are cutting out the waistband and all of the other pieces, like the two back pockets, the fly piece, etc. Next, we are transferring all of the markings onto the back pant piece, which is literally just the darts. Just making sure that that's there, because we are about to sew them closed. I'm pinning that through, and yes, I'm using pins right now because I'm going to sew through that line anyways, and I just pinned slightly to the inside of my marking. I am sewing that down, back stitching at the beginning, and then I'm not going to back stitch at the end. I'm just going to kind of curve towards the butt area off of the piece, and then I'm going to cut it long and tie it by hand. Alright, that's what it's looking like. I'm taking my pocket piece and I am kind of placing it where I want it to be, and we need to prep the pocket to sew to the pants. So first we are going to fold down about 1 centimeter, and we're going to sew that down with a straight stitch to create the top of the pocket. I will say this pleather is already making me mad because I don't think I can iron it. So I'm going to have to like fold everything and like clip it. I don't know how I'm going to do everything. And I also can't put pins through it. Looks like I'm in a pickle. Okay, literally it wasn't even that big of a deal, but I just fold over all of the sides by 1 centimeter. And you'd usually do this anyways. However, you'd normally be able to just pin it to the back of the back leg piece and sew it on. But in this case, I'm going to have to edge stitch the pocket before doing that to just hold all of those folds in place, which turned out totally fine. So don't even mind me. Also, these clips are extremely helpful, and you're definitely going to want to use them if you're working with pleather. And I have a video talking about all of my favorite kind of sewing tools that I'll list right up there so you guys can see. And I'm also using tape to tape my pocket in place because, again, I don't want to use pins. This works pretty well. It's just annoying to take off once you've sewn through it. So as we're attaching the pockets, I made sure to also place the pockets and stretch that butt area a little bit. Since there is a dart there, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to have any weird puckering when I was all done. So we're doing double top stitching on this pocket, and by that I mean we're just doing 2 lines of stitching. But the best way to do this that I've found is start and go all the way around, come all the way back, and then end with 1 back stitch. So that's what it should be looking like. And this also helps with the sturdiness of the pocket, the longevity, you know, you get it. And this is me taking off all those pieces of tape, like I said, which is not so fun, but it really does help when you can't use pins. Next, I am sewing the inseam together. I added about 1 centimeter of seam allowance on everything, so that's what I'm using here. Pants! And next we are prepping the zipper. So I'm pinning the zipper to the zipper fly. And this is me changing out the walking foot for my normal foot and adding on my zipper foot. Yes, this is the only feet content you're gonna get here on my channel. But the zipper foot is really helpful when sewing zippers, and you're gonna have to move that zipper out of the way as you sew, which is sometimes very easy and sometimes, as you will see, very difficult. But alas, we will sew the zipper to the zipper fly, and that's what it will look like. Then we're gonna place that face down to the left front leg, lining it up with the top, and we're gonna sew that together. But first, M&Ms. We're gonna sew that down, back stitching at both ends, and again, we're gonna have to move that zipper out of the way as we sew. And as I said, sometimes it's easy, and that time it was, and sometimes it's more difficult. All right, so we're gonna prep the other pant leg. So on the right pant leg, we're putting this kind of like facing, like zipper facing. And once we've sewn it on, we're gonna cut into the seam allowance, and then we're going to understitch this so that it doesn't flip out towards the front. All right, now we're gonna lay both legs together, lining up the center front, pinning the crotch area and sewing that down all the way up to basically where the zipper starts. And then we're going to sew the zipper down to that zipper facing. If you want to see a more in-depth walkthrough of how I did this on another pair of trousers, I will link a video up above of making the Tatiana trousers. And this is me struggling to get the zipper past the needle before continuing to sew this down. And once that is all sewn down, that is the zipper attached to the pants, and I'm sewing the crotch of the inseam. I'm also going to top stitch that and do some top stitching around the zipper. All right, I've tried on the pants for the first time. Check them out. I'm gonna do a little fashion show at lunch. There's kind of this like weird pucker here. I think that happened when I was like grading into the waist. So I'm going to fix that so it kind of like is smoother. Everything else I think is looking good. I just need to add, the waistband and then figure out where I want to hem them because they're pretty long right now. Currently 2:15 a.m. So I'm gonna go to sleep, finish these up tomorrow. Hello, it is a new day. Good morning, I have a coffee. Just kidding, it's not morning at all. It is 12:13. Cheers. All right, using my form ruler, I'm just marking to smooth out that hip area. Taking that to the machine, using my walking foot, which is the foot I've been using this whole time. It works wonders working with pleather or anything like plastic. I'm using that to sew that down. And then I am top stitching or like sewing the seam allowance to the back of the pant, and this is kind of horrendous to do. As you can see, I'm in a tunnel of fabric. I am drowning. But once we are done, I'm going to attach the waistband, and we're going to leave about 1 centimeter off the edge of the waistband on both sides, and then we're going to evenly distribute using my awesome sewing clips and sew that down with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. The walking foot and clips here are key. And then we are going to fold the waistbands right side together and sew down the edge, and my machine was clearly struggling with this so that it looks like this, so we can fold it out and have a sharp corner for the waistband. I'm trimming that corner to have a reduced seam allowance, and next we are folding 1 centimeter over on the inside of the waistband and pinning it down. Yes, I said I would not use pins. However, there was no other way to do this really well because I'm going to be top stitching from the right side, which meant I could not use clips. We just want to make sure that this fabric stays in place, and I figured since it was on the inside, it would be no biggie. Once we have all of that fabric really pinned in place, I'm going to top stitch from the outside or right side, and then we are going to turn, do the corner and the edge, and then we are going to top stitch the very edge of the waistband as well. With this pleather, I would make sure if you want something to lay flat, just stitch it down, because you can't iron it and it will not stay flat. It will just kind of look a little puffy. Next, I am using an X-Acto knife and these buttons to add in these buttons. I'm clipping 1.5 inch seam allowance for the hem, and I am taking that to my machine, and I'm sewing that down. And again, not only am I sewing down at 1.5 inches, I'm also sewing the edge so that it lays flat, and it ended up looking really cool, and I actually kind of liked the design aspect of it. And once we are done with that, we are finished. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate having you here, and I hope that you had fun. I hope that you learned something, and above all else, I hope that you feel creatively inspired to make a pair of pants for yourself. Yeah, there are lots of other videos on my channel. If you're interested in this type of content, make sure to check all that out, and leave a comment down below and let me know if you plan on working with pleather or using the Waterloo system or making a pair of pants, because I would love to know. And I hope that you guys are enjoying the spring wherever you are. I hope that you've got some beautiful blooms, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.